Team RWB. First, I want to say thanks to everybody for coming out, supporting our veterans today. This means a lot. Once we saw that number hit 70 on the registration, even though we were all super excited, again, thank you. I would like to introduce Congressman Barber. He's got a couple things he wants to say. Thank you. Yes, sir. Great to be with you all this morning. You notice my timing was perfect. I came after your warm-up, but I wish I could have been here sooner. And I'm really glad to be here. I'm a member of the House Armed Services Committee, and part of my job, in fact, if you will, I think number one part of my job is to make sure that our veterans are treated properly, not only by the government and the commitments we've made, but also as much as possible to encourage community involvement with veterans. Before I go on, though, I just have to find out who's here from Army, who's from Air Force, all right, and Marines. One Marine.
What?
I have to say also Navy. I know that, you know, Navy. There you go. You have any coasties in the house? No? Right, everybody? All right. Well, really glad to see you all today. As you know, Monday's Veterans Day. I'll be going down to Sierra Vista to help celebrate that day and to thank our veterans who are a large part of the community. You know, we have some communities that are so totally engaged with military service and with veterans. Sierra Vista is one of those places. Wherever you go in Sierra Vista, you'll find either retirees, veterans, or military families from the sport that are living there. It is a very strong military supportive and veteran supportive community. And Tucson is too. We don't hear it as much here because we're much larger, but we're beginning to hear more and more of it as some of the things that we all support. My dad was an airman, World War II veteran, Army Air Corps. I was saying to Eric, he had the easy job. He was a tail gunner, and he had a scar on his face. You know, the greatest generation, they never said much about the war, right? They kept their stories to themselves. And it was just a few weeks before he passed that he finally told me about the scar. It was because the shrapnel that blew in and scarred him. But this is a generation that we celebrate always because they obviously saved the world from fascism, and we really appreciate everything they've done. But every conflict since then, every war since then, we need to remember the veterans. And we have some folks in our community who are not as supportive, quite frankly, and we're trying to push back and tell the other story about the community of Tucson, the number of veterans and military personnel who live here. That's how I got here. My dad came stationed at Davis-Monthan, met my wife on base, and I've been pretty much here ever since, except for a couple of tours of duty, including Oscoda, Michigan. Anyone ever been to Oscoda, Portsmouth Air Force Base? It's such a metropolis, right? 5,000 people. But it's been a wonderful life growing up in a military family, and now I'm in a position I never expected to be in, quite frankly, and that is to try to help support our military men and women and our veterans from the House Armed Services Committee. You know, Monday we're celebrating many veterans who have come back over many years. I have a Veterans Advisory Council made up of men and women from all branches in every war that we've been in since World War II. The only way I can do my job is by hearing what they have to say about veterans' needs. So let me just focus on that for a moment, and then I'll close once you get back to your workout and all the rest of the activities. Do you have a race today, or are you mostly working out in here? You got a half marathon.
We do have a few of us are running.
Are you running in the half marathon? Okay. I was telling Eric, my grandson who's 12 has become obsessed with running. All of a sudden, like 3 months ago, he discovered cross-country running, and he cannot stop. He's been practically every day. So I appreciate that kind of great workout. But anyway, getting back to the point, I was going to say about what we're doing in Congress, I think, is we're not doing our jobs. I really feel that we are not putting the time and energy into making sure that we support men and women in the military, and particularly veterans. So I'm bound and determined that we're not going to let happen now what happened back after Vietnam. I was a young guy during the Vietnam War, and I saw what happened when our veterans came back, our active duty men and women came back and became veterans. They were treated so badly by the public. It was just disgraceful. But even worse, they were treated poorly by the government that sent them to war in terms of lack of services. And so today, we have something like 70,000 Vietnam veterans who are part of the homeless population. That's just wrong. And what I'm determined to do is to make sure that doesn't happen for the men and women who have served us in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I know that two of the signature wounds of those wars are post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury, often the most hidden kinds of injuries that you can have. And we have to do better. We are not prepared for the 500,000 veterans who are going to be coming into the system who have needs and support. So I'm working with my colleagues. This is a very bipartisan issue. I'm glad to say there's at least one issue that's bipartisan in Congress, and that is supporting our veterans. So we're working to make sure that the Veterans Administration does a better job processing more timely the benefit claims. We're working to make sure that we have mental health and other kinds of support for men and women who are back. And for me, since I represent a rural community of Cochise County as well as Tucson, I want to make sure that if a veteran is living in Elfrida or Wilcox or Douglas, that he doesn't have to, or she doesn't have to travel all the way to Tucson to get some of the medical services they need. So we're pushing on the VA to contract out with qualified people there. But it's more than just what the government does. I'm going this afternoon to the VA, and I think actually, if you look across the country, we have one of the better VAs. There's so always room for improvement. But it really is a community responsibility to support our veterans. It's a faith community responsibility. It's a business community responsibility. It's an average citizen responsibility. And what Team Red, White, Blue is doing is bringing all of that together. And I just wanted to take my hat off to Team Red, White, and Blue for what they're doing to keep veterans engaged, physically engaged, socially engaged with our community. And I want to thank you all for being here today and for letting me have a few words with you. And I really wish you all the best. And those of you running tomorrow, success. And now we have some folks who are not veterans, but I asked for hands to be raised for different people from different branches. So some of you are not served. Can they show of hands? So you're here to support our veterans too. And I appreciate that, because that's what it is. This has to be a community-wide commitment. There's no other way to say it. When we ask people to put on a uniform and they do it with great patriotism and courage, we have to be there when they get back. And you can count on me to do everything I can to make sure that we meet those commitments. So thank you all for having me here this morning. Wish you the best, and look forward to seeing you.
How many rounds? 4 rounds, yeah?
As many rounds as possible. Go!